Here we are. We are here for the big show. Welcome, everybody. It's your buddy Bruce here from Traveling with Bruce. We're here from Calgary, Alberta. Today's date, August the 1st, 2022. July's gone, June's gone. What happened to summer? It's already going. Unbelievable, although it doesn't feel like it's going, does it? It's hot out there. Welcome, one. Welcome, all, to the show this week. Got some news for you that I'll share with you here in a little bit. Nice to see you all coming in again this week. It's nice to have you. Jen and I, we're okay. We're staying cool. We're in a hotel right now in Calgary. The air conditioning works perfectly. Not like the air conditioning we had, though, when we first got to Zurich. We had traveled by train from Vienna for 7.5 hours, and it was beautiful, beautiful ride. But we got off the train, got a cab to a hotel. Had to wait about 15 minutes before we could get to the front of the check-in line. But, we checked in, gave us our keys. We went up to our room. It was warm in there. So we turned we turned the button on the air conditioner, and it was starting. And we figured, well, that cool air should be coming out of those ducts any old time now. And Jen had to take a look at the little box on the wall to adjust the air conditioning. And it said that our room temperature in the room was about 27 Celsius. That would be about 81 Fahrenheit in the room. So she read the instructions, which were in German, Italian, French, and English, how to operate the air conditioning. So it tells her that what the number on the little unit's just telling you what the temperature in the room is, and you can set the temperature by pushing this button and hit the arrow down or arrow up button. So she's hitting the arrow down button to get it to 20 Celsius. That's about 70 Fahrenheit, ballpark. And then it says she hits that button, and then the thing flashes her temperature, and then it shows 27 again, or 28 Celsius. And she keeps reading the instructions afterwards, and it says that due to local regulations, the hotel room temperature can only be 6 degrees cooler than the outside temperature, and the air conditioner cannot go any cooler than that. And outside, it was like 35 Celsius. Like it was like, I don't know, 90 something. And so the hotel would limit our air conditioning to 82 degrees while it was that hot out in the 90s. And this is Celsius to Fahrenheit, I'm quoting you right now. And even in the middle of the night, we were still hot. It wouldn't cool off the room. We were only booked in there for 2 nights or 3 nighs, and we didn't extend our stay there. I'll tell you that. We found out later that there was no such ordinance in the city of Zurich or the country of Switzerland that limited a hotel to offer guests limited air conditioning. This was a Marriott hotel manager rule. That's what this was. This was the manager of the hotel trying to save money by screwing around with the air conditioning and not letting us get it down to 70 degrees. And needless to say, I ain't going back to that hotel ever again. I'll tell you that. Oh man, that was crazy. When we did return to Zurich, several weeks later, we picked up our daughter at the airport in Zurich because she spent the last week with us. We ended up staying at a hotel at the airport, which is the best move we could have made. Even at the beginning, we should have made this move, because that hotel had, of course, air conditioning that cooled it right down to whatever you wanted. We had the room at 69, 70 degrees, no problem whatsoever, not an issue. But the thing about that hotel was we had the tram line literally 200 feet away from the front door. And that tram line would take you right downtown to downtown Zurich and back. You could buy a day pass for 13 francs, which is about 14 American dollars, and you would have unlimited use of transit for the day. unlimited. Well, a cab ride from there to downtown and back would have run 120 American dollars. 14 bucks, you got an unlimited day pass for all the tram rides, bus rides, subway rides you want. Although I don't think they didn't have subway, light rail, tram, and bus. Fantastic. But that's Europe. What can I say? Air conditioning story for you. I thought I'd start the day off with an air conditioning story for you. I hope you guys are doing all right. I hope your air conditioning is working for you wherever you are. Let me know how hot it is where you are. Let me know what gas is costing where you are. How expensive is gasoline where you are? Are your prices coming down? I hope they are. Gasoline here is plummeting in price, absolutely plummeting. We've been here 2 weeks. And the first time I saw gas, it was $1.82 a liter, and it is now at least 30 cents a liter less than that. Now, 30 cents a liter means we are paying $1.11 a gallon less in 2 weeks for an American gallon. That's how fast the price is dropping here. So that was good to see. Hope it keeps on going. I hope it's doing the same for you guys. Stephen Butler is in the house from Northwest Arkansas. 91 degrees. Gas is $3.77. Going to go to Minnesota North Shore on Lake Superior later this month. It should be cooler there. Number 2 on the like button. I'm a little early. Thank you for hitting the like button. Any of you out there, if you could hit that thumbs up button for us, let me know what number you are. We're trying to get to 100 likes while we're on the air, if at all possible. Sandy Robinson, good evening, Bruce and TWB family. I am number 3, thumbs up. A beautiful day for a holiday. Very hot here in Medicine Hat, Alberta. I hope Jen gets her hip replacement soon. I can relate, as I've had both hips replaced. Well, I'll tell you, we got things are in the works, so we'll keep you posted when we know more. That's hot. It's been hot in Medicine Hat, Alberta, for sure. Nathan, hello, straight from the sponsor member show. I need a root beer float, and I need one now. We were talking about floats on that show. Sharon, hi, Bruce. Long time no see. How you doing? It is so nice having you back at the normal schedule. It's so good. Ken, correct. Ken, how you doing? Hi, Bruce and Jen from Saginaw, Michigan. The temperature, 79 degrees. Regular gas, $4.33 a gallon. We're number 7 thumbs ups on your show. Thank you guys for that. Appreciate it. Nathan, a high of about 78 today and rainy weather. Gas has dropped to $3.85 a gallon in the Asheville area. And Nathan, I am thumbs up number 8. Thank you, my friend Jeannie. Hello, Bruce and all TWBers. Bill and Jeannie are here for the big show. Thank you guys from East Tennessee for seeing me tonight, as always. Josie from New Jersey, welcome to the show. Ms. M, happy BC Day. I think it's Heritage Day up here. I think that's what they call it today. It's a holiday here in Canada called Heritage Day. Kevin Chapman, happy here in central New Jersey at 79 degrees, and the price of gas is down to $4.40 a gallon. Still in the afterglow of our first cruise since 2019. That has been a long time coming. Way to go, buddy. Hi, Kevin, says Sharon. Tom Henry, hello, TW family. Kevin Chapman, when do we get our next book? Miss M, number 20, thumbs ups. It's a streaming one. It's a steaming one in Maple Ridge. At least gas is going down a little bit. Good to hear. Donnell from Cork, Ireland is in the house. Good day, Bruce and all. I am thumbs up number 11 for you. Wearing my white wavy TWB t-shirt. Big month, 5th anniversary of this show starting. Congrats, Bruce. It's been a great journey. Right on, pal. Thank you for being with me. Lee Shearer is here, 89 in Boca Raton, Florida, $4.05 a gallon. Welcome, Lee, to the show. Good to have you. Shady Hill, Homestead, number 29, thumbs ups. Lee, I'm number 27. Tom Henry, Bruce's AC story reminds me of a trip to London in 1983. They were having a heat wave. We stayed in the London International Hotel in Earl's Court. No air conditioning. Window did open, and that was enough. Oh, my gosh. Julie Dahl, how you doing? 24 Celsius here in Coral Springs, Port Douglas, Australia, in the dead of winter. You got to love that. That's okay weather. Connie is here, 28 thumbs up. Thank you, Connie, for that. Megan is here. Hi, Megan. Very hot here, out there in Maribel. and I'm ignoring the price. I'm ignoring the price of gas. Tom, only problem was right outside the window in London, the underground came above ground and was very noisy. Windows shut and sound was blocked, but then it was too hot, laughing out loud, no mercy whatsoever. Megan Frost gas is going up again in Mirabel. Oh my gosh. I remember Jennifer and I were on a trip, and I don't know how this happened, but we ended up in Toronto, Ontario, and we ended up staying at a hotel near what was at that time the home of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I believe it was an Intercontinental Hotel. The hotel was only 20 years old. This would be 19. This would have been like 1980. This was maybe a 20-year-old hotel, and we were shocked because we booked a room. We came in for check-in. It was late at night. We got there about 10 o'clock at night, and we checked in for a one-night stay. Hot and muggy summer night in Toronto. Hot and muggy. Get into our room. We check in. No air conditioning. No, the hotel had no air conditioning. We couldn't believe it. We couldn't. A downtown Toronto hotel, 20 stories tall, no air conditioning. And our view out of the window, we were on the third floor. We got to look at air ducts on the roof of the kind of the lobby. The lobby had air conditioning, but not the hotel. To say we were upset was a understatement. But we knew it was now 11 o'clock at night, and we were out of there at like 6:30 in the morning. We had to catch an early flight to get out. And so we 7 hours just for a place to crash. So we each took a cold shower just to cool the body off and just get that fresher feeling, and that helped a little. But that never forgave the hotel for that. Haven't recommended it to anyone either. Funny how that works. Rather something. Oh man. That is funny. Kevin, Tom Henry, next book is a standalone called Dead Winter, out this fall. I'll let the TWB Facebook group know when it's available. Donnell, sadly, AC is very scarce over here in Europe. Yeah, Tom Henry, thanks, Kevin, for the update on the book. Yeah, we did have one hotel where we did not have air conditioning. It was our last hotel in Zermatt, Switzerland. But thankfully, in the evenings where we were staying in Zermatt at 5,100 foot elevation, in the afternoons it would get into the high 70s, maybe touch 80. But in the evenings it would go into the 50, 52 neighborhood, and the windows opened up. And so we had a corner unit, corner room. So we had the windows over here and over here. We had the cross breeze, and it just cooled. After 9 at night, the room just cooled right down, and it was quite comfortable, quite good. So that was close. Thankfully, I would not want to be in a non-air conditioned room with 90-degree temperatures in Zurich. I would not want that. Oh my gosh. Let's go. Tom is here. Hello, Bruce from 89 degrees, Sarasota, Florida. Welcome. Tom Henry Donnell. Next stop after 5 nights in London was Paris. We stayed in a hotel at about 6 o'clock on the Ring subway. Luckily, it had AC. What an improvement. Donnell, bet you were happy about that, Tom. Can just imagine. Thankfully, on this trip that we just did, only heat problem we had was in a Marriott hotel in Zurich, Switzerland, which you just wouldn't expect because that town is one of the highest standards of living, one of the most preferential cities in the world to live, very modern, incredible infrastructure, but we had a chintzy manager and no one knew. How would you know? How could you know checking in, booking the room? You had no clue this was going on. This was so cheap and so lowbrow that you never forget. You never forget. I haven't done a video yet. I will be doing a video about all the hotels we stayed at on this road trip, this 10-week holiday we had in Europe. I will be doing a video about all of them. And this one they're going to get it. They're going to get it good. You're not going to be wanting to stay at this place. No way. It was very disappointing. Really a downer. And they weren't, and it wasn't cheap. It's not like we were paying $89 a night. No. This is an expensive hotel, but they really chinched out on this one, and it was disappointing to say the least. A real downer. But hey, some managers or owners or whatever their objectives are, defy logic. Sometimes it just defies logic. And you go from one extreme like that to another extreme where we were in the hotel in Amsterdam called the Amrath Hotel. And the Amrath was the biggest surprise for us, the biggest shock in a good way, because we had checked in at midnight when we got there, and we had been checked in by the night staff, which was the security guard and a building manager, not even hotel staff. And they got us into our room, and it was warm, but it had a fan. So we had a fan for the night. And the next morning, we were just looking around this fabulous building of this hotel. It was an incredible building. And the concierge came up to us and said, "Did you check in last evening?" I said, "Yes, sir, I did." "What's your name, sir?" "Mr. Frommer." "How is everything? Is your room all right?" I said, "Well, our room was a lower level room with no view. We were basically looking at a tailpipe of a car because we were that low." I said, I'd hope to have a little higher room because I'd really like to have some fresh air come into the unit. The windows don't open down there. And I said, I have a YouTube channel. I have 2 YouTube channels, and I work in my hotel. "What are the name of your channels?" So I told him the 2 channels I was running. When he heard Traveling with Bruce, he said, what do you talk about on the travel channel?" I said, "Oh, our travels, wherever we're on a 10-week holiday right now in Europe. We'll be talking about all our hotels and cities and whatever we're going to be doing." He says, "Well, maybe we can figure out a way to get you into a higher floor room so that you have a little bit of airflow." I said, that would really be nice. He says, "Are you going to have breakfast right now?" I said, "Yes, we're going to have a buffet breakfast." Said, "Well, have your buffet, and I'll see you after breakfast. In the meantime, I'll check the room availability for the hotel. How long are you here for?" 5 nights. "Okay." Finish breakfast. We come back out. He's waiting for us. He says, "I'd like to show you 2 or 3 rooms." And he showed us one room that was nicer on the 2nd floor, but it was just a long rectangular room. And there was no way I could work without Jennifer basically being on camera, and that's not going to happen. And he said, "I understand." He says, "I have a room for you." And then we went to the top floor, and he showed us this suite, 2-room suite, a living room and a bedroom and a separate bathroom. Wow. And he said, "I can put you in this room for the entire stay." And we were on the 3rd floor of the hotel, which was actually like the 6th floor of a modern building because the ceilings were 20 feet high, 20 feet. And we were in a 550 euro a night room for the price we were paying for the room we had booked, which was considerably less than that. And we were pretty impressed. And that hotel just took care of us. And needless to say, I glowingly talked about that hotel in one of my videos, and I will be glowingly talking about that hotel in the upcoming video about the hotels we stayed at in Europe. So sometimes you just luck out one way and you don't luck out another way. It's amazing how it works out. It's really something. Let's see. Thank you, everybody, very much for being here. Tom Henry, I remember the Paris Hotel well. I fulfilled my bucket list item there, ran up and down the escalator. The area was empty, so I went for it. Bullcraft Max, "Hi, Bruce. Hope all is well and everything is going good. Thank you, my friend. Welcome." Tom Henry, "I booked hotels for my June 2023 dawn back-to-back Southampton, British Isle to Copenhagen, Baltic to Stockholm. Would you believe not a single IHG hotel in Sweden? I put in Stockholm and got Helsinki hotels. Donnell, I stayed in a hostel in Paris called Aloha in 06. Can't remember if it had AC. It was an exciting trip. I lived near London at the time." Tom Henry, So I had to abort using my points and went with a Hilton. Tom, I have IHG bookings in Cape Town and Athens for January, March cruise. Just couldn't believe Sweden. Yeah, it's sometimes how it is. Kirk, lots of buffering while watching from the ship. Bruce, I will watch the rerun. Right on, my friend. Super Touring number one. Some cruise lines are offering overnight stays at select ports. So you can return at any time to the ship, i.e., can I return to the ship at like 2 a.m.? Question mark. Interesting stuff. Well, the trip was a real experience for us. We really found it fascinating. The trip sort of evolves. You sort of start in London in that city. That's an experience unto itself. Then Edinburgh. Then you're in Amsterdam. That's all different. Then you're going from Amsterdam to Germany to Hamburg to Berlin to Munich. Each city, its own atmosphere, its own architecture, its own history. Then to Vienna, a whole different feel there. And then over to Zurich and Switzerland for the final month. And we got a number of different tastes and locations there. And the train rides in between all of these places are really something, a real experience. I'm glad we did the trip. I am sure that over the years I will have fond memories of most of it. But there were the odd, there's the odd moment or two if something interesting happens. But that's typical of a 77-day holiday. I would think so. Nikki, greeting TWB from family. Love hearing y'all travel stories. Nice to hear from you, Nikki. Brian, I just stayed in Stockholm at IHG Mr. and Mrs. Smith Hotel. Great location, formerly known as the Barons Hotel. Interesting. That's news. Let me tell you what's going on in the world of travel and cruise. I got a bunch of news. Let me fill you in on what I got, okay? Pardon me for a sec. So the first bit of news has to do with Royal Caribbean. Before the stock market opened today, Royal Caribbean made an announcement that they were going to raise $900 million in cash by selling some convertible notes, some bonds that were going to mature in 2025. And what they were going to do is they're going to replace notes that are maturing next year and the year after. And it sounds like what they're doing is they're raising $900 million, basically offering the bankers who are raising this money another 15% option, which they will raise, and that'll bring in $1 billion, over a little over $1 billion. And the company will pay off about $600 million in old debt and add $400 million in fresh cash into their bank account. That's what's going on with that deal. That came out this morning. They're working on that deal now and closing. News from MSC in the USA. They have dropped pre-cruise testing for all travelers, vaccinated or unvaccinated. No more testing requirements required to get on an MSC cruise 5 days or less in length. That news came out. Royal Caribbean is going to drop pre-cruise testing for vaccinated passengers, guests, 5 days or less cruises. So they're doing that, and they're talking now in the very near future to have no testing on any cruise if you're vaccinated. So it's 7, 14 days, whatever, no testing is going to be required. That's shortly coming down the turnpike. It's coming. Other news, the Holland America Zaandam last week had over 20% of its guests test positive on board for the virus. And this is just before the CDC ended all reporting requirements. And so the disease runs rampant in certain cases on certain ships still. And it's just not stopping. There was also another cruise line. I had heard there were 60 odd cases of the virus, but at the moment I can't. Oh yeah, it was one of the Royal Caribbean ships, a Jewel of the Seas. The Jewel of the Seas had 64 cases of COVID last week on it. That's a European cruise, interestingly enough. Now in the Dominican Republic, these folks are doing something really interesting. Um, if you're a regular on my channel here over the years on Monday nights when I talk about the cruise business on the big show and what's going on in the cruise world, you know how much I covered the political uh, war. I mean, the absolute war that was going on in the Cayman Islands up until COVID hit. Just for the year prior to COVID, if not longer than a year prior to COVID, there was a battle going on between basically government of the Cayman Islands along with business interests and the general population of the island who were totally against the government and the business sector to build a massive cruise port in downtown Georgetown, Cayman Islands. The government wanted to build a humongous concrete monster of a port where Oasis class ships, at least two at a time, could dock, along with at least two other smaller ships could dock at a time in downtown Georgetown. Now, this is on an island that is 10 miles long and is about 8 miles high and shaped like a letter L. And Georgetown's at the corner, right where the L meets. That's where Georgetown is. And on a typical cruising day in 2018 and 19, cruise ships would come to Georgetown, Cayman Islands, and they would have to drop anchor about a quarter mile offshore. And then they would have to lower some of their lifeboats, or tenders, as we call it, and they would have to then tender their passengers to shore. And the island had a flotilla of tenders on shore that would go out to the ships and pick up 150 passengers at a time, 200 at a time, bring them to shore. Now, at the height of the cruising game in 18 and 19, before COVID showed up, it was not uncommon for up to 6 and sometimes 7 ships a day would arrive at the Cayman Islands. And you would have 14 to 18,000 passengers a day tender in to downtown Georgetown, where there was a 2-lane main road, maybe a couple blocks. It was 4 lanes wide. Then it went quickly to 2. A few traffic lights, no expressways. On an island that tiny, you would have 50,000 people living there full time, and now 18,000 visitors show up for 6 hours. Complete mayhem. When I lived in the Cayman Islands with Jennifer and Jennifer Jr. back in 1998 to 2000, back at that time, 4 cruise ships a day would come and drop about 1,500 passengers each. So we would have 6,000 passengers Monday to Saturday be dumped off. Monday to Friday, when I went to work and Jennifer Jr. went to school, we had to contend with the traffic chaos through greater downtown Georgetown. We lived on one end of the island. I worked on the other end of the island. And then in the latter part of our stay, we lived at one end of the island, and my workplace was on the way to downtown, but Jennifer Jr.'s school was on the other side of downtown. And Jennifer would dump me off, and Jennifer and Jennifer Jr. would go to school together and have to go through this mayhem of cruise ship passenger traffic. It was taxi cabs and buses everywhere. An absolute nightmare for the island. There's nowhere else to put this dock but downtown Georgetown. Okay, now I'm telling you all of this to give you the news of the day from the Dominican Republic. Okay, here's the opposite, all right? This is the George Costanza version of what's going on, all right? Unlike the Cayman Islands, which did not, where the citizens said, no, 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 you're not building this monster of a dock for 20 to 25,000 passengers a day, because they wanted to up it. They wanted to up the number. No, that's not going to happen. Stay with the ships offshore and limit how many they're coming. Bring it back down to 8,000 a day or less. In the Dominican Republic, it's the opposite. Dominican Republic already has a number of ports that people visit now. today and in the last few days, news came out that another new cruise port is going to open up. It's costing the island $125 million to build. And I have a couple of pictures for you of what this is going to look like. Have I got this done right? Let me just double check here. Bear with me. They've decided that they want to bring in more passengers for day trips to basically visit on the island. Basically, that's what's going on here. Now, where am I on my photos? I took my photos for you. I saved them for you. And now I can't find them for you. I think I have them here. Just bear with me, folks. I apologize for this, but I was really proud of myself. I was really, really proud of myself because I took these photos. Oh, wait until they see this. Oh, what a slick guy this YouTuber is, because he has put together this absolute beautiful collection of photos. And now I notice that the photo I want to show you didn't get uploaded. It wouldn't let me do it. So all of a sudden, I got nothing. How about them apples? So hang on one second here. I'm going to find this for you because I owe you this. Let's see here. Here, we'll do that, and oh yeah, that's what it is. Let's try that, and let's try this. Let's see if I can find it anywhere. Oh yeah, here we go. All right, let's give this a try. Let's just give this a try. I don't know if this is going to work. Hang on just one second. Oh, that's a good photo. If this works, oh, I'm going to be so proud of myself. Hang on, people. Oh, the trials and tribulations. Okay, let's try that one. And then we're going to try this one. Let's see if this works at all. There it is. And we'll do this over here, right there. And we'll go right there and right there. And here it is. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, now let's go back here and see if I can upload these photos just for you. No one else. Don't be telling anybody. This is a secret. This is a secret just for us. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Is it going to work out? There it is. There. I got this photo. I got one of them. Let's see if it comes up. Yes. Okay, check this out. You see this right here? Now, here is a part of the Dominican Republic where there are people in the background. As you can see, there's some buildings in the background there. But right where the waterfront is, it is not a downtown facility. It's not like a downtown core facility. So what they've done here is they have built this land. They've filled in the land here to dredge up and then build out this long finger of land. And at the very tip here where the crane is, there are actually going to be concrete piers added to this. And this facility is going to be designed to hold 1 million passengers a year of traffic. 1 million is what they're talking about here. This is absolutely incredible. They want to build here a big water park, shopping center, shopping area, duty free and so on, a spa area, an entertainment area, as I said, and a water park area. And they want to use this as a staging ground for land excursions. So if you're going to go out on a bus tour, certain part of the island, it'll start and end at this location. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I'm able to bring another photo up for you, although I have another one here. I don't know if this will work. No, I don't think that will work. There's some probably some copyright stuff on this stuff. Even though they're trying to promote this for their country, I have trouble uploading these photos for you, and yet this is a PR thing that they're proud of themselves about, and I'm happy to promote it on their behalf. But I'm not allowed to upload it or get it on here. Unfortunately, I'll try one more thing here. I'm looking at a bunch of photos that are online, but I can't seem to be able to bring them up for you at this point. Just want to see if there's another angle of the photo that might be different, or another angle of another viewing of the entire facility that might be different. And there's this. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Here we go. Okay, there we go. We'll go right here and we'll try this. And we'll hit that button, and now we'll go over to here, and I will try to find this photo and see if I can upload it again. Will it work or not? Will it, or will it not? Oh, I think it will. Hang on. Oh, I think we got something here. We might have something. All right, let's see. Yes. Okay, look at this. Check this out. There's the finished version, an artist version of what this is supposed to look like. You can see here where the ships are. You have the piers there, and even at the very top where those two ships are located, apparently you can put two Oasis class ships up there, and then you can put two ships on the bottom pier towards the left, 4 at a time. And then if you note, just as you get off the ship, you'll come through probably the shopping area, and then there's the water park area where you'll be able to buy tickets to the water park. There's a beach area at the bottom here along the shoreline. They're going to have cabanas and private beach area with drinks and snacks and all that stuff. There's a spa being built in here for daytime spa treatments. Just all kinds of stuff. Now, what's going on here in as far as I can see that I find really interesting is that the country, they've taken the opposite approach to the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands public was saying to their politicians, "You guys are morons. Why are you spending $300, $400, $500 million on this gigantic concrete monstrosity to bring in 15 to 20,000 people a day on an island that can't handle them? For people who are just going to buy some t-shirts, they're going to go to 7 Mile Beach, they're going to go to the turtle farm, they're not going to spend a lot of money here." The studies show that a typical tourist back in 1718 from a cruise ship spent $20 per person. It meant nothing to the island economy. Now, if you've been on a cruise ship to the Cayman Islands and you did a tour, say to Stingray City, you would have bought your Stingray City tour package through the cruise line. They take 70%, up to 70% of the take as their commission. The locals got very little, and you didn't buy anything else. You went to Stingray City. You went there, got off the ship, got on a bus, went up to the boat, got on the boat, went out to the Stingray City. 4 hours later, you got back onto shore, onto the bus, back to the ship, got in line, and you got off the island. That was your day. You didn't spend any money at a restaurant. You didn't go to a bar. You didn't buy a Paget watch or a Rolex, anything at the jewelry stores downtown. You left. The folks here at Dominican Republic, these guys, they figured it out. Why don't we build this? Why don't we build this thing right here, and we'll cater to these ships. Now, some of these folks will get off the ship and they'll walk all the way, or they'll be given electric, a little ride in electric vehicles, all the way into where the buses are. You notice you see on the land there where this piece of land meets the actual shore. You can see where all the so-called buses are parked back in there. Those are for tours. Yeah, those folks will go on tours, but the rest of the passengers, they'll stay here because what's going to happen is this water park is going to entice mums and dads with small children to go no further than this. They'll take them off the ship, they'll walk down the pier, and they'll come to the water park and they'll have their bathing suits on underneath their clothing or whatever. Mom and dad will have some kind of a bag. And they will then check into the water park and buy a pass. And I can bet you that they will have the lazy river ride, and they'll have the slides, the water slides, and all kinds of, just like at Coco Key. They're going to have the same thing here that they have at Coco Key. They might have some amusement rides, and they'll capture a bunch of money from the passengers who aren't going to go inland. They're not going for, you're not going to go for a walk into this area, Dominican Republic. You're not going to do that. You're going to stay behind these gates. You're just going to utilize the services of this area, and the staff that work here. You can rest assured, you can be very rest assured that every staff member that works at that water park area there are absolutely no criminal records. They're the best of the best. You'll be lucky to get a job working at this place, no matter what your position, whether you're just picking up garbage, serving food and drinks, or operating all the rides. You're going to be lucky to have a job here because you're going to be screened very heavily. I can imagine too, where you see those sailboats in the water there, you're going to see ski-doos and sea-doos being rented out, all kinds of water toys. And then along the beach, along one side and the other, there will be umbrellas and people to look after you with all kinds of cabanas and everything else. This is a catch-all for these cruise passengers, and I can see where I will bet you 15 to 20,000 passengers in a typical day could theoretically be here on this gigantic piece of land with all of these unbelievable events. Look how big, look how the tiny the trucks are, and the cranes at the end of the pier here. There's all kinds of equipment on top of the dirt. They're tiny. This thing is huge. This thing is massive, and they haven't built out the piers yet. They're yet to come. So this is going to be one heck of a big project, and they're talking 1 million passengers a year that they're going to be able to handle at this place. So this is rivaling Coco Key. They're going to rival Coco Key with the beach area, and the water park, and shopping, and spas, and you can go for tours from here and back. I just see this as a smart move. Only 125 million. This is not a $1 billion build-out project. This is really interesting. I think the government of the Dominican Republic, they have figured it out. They have a high population. They have to employ their people. They've got to find ways to service 1 million people's needs while there on an annual basis. So water, beer, spirits, soft drinks, energy drinks, milkshakes, smoothies. There'll be ice cream vendors. They'll have hot dogs, hamburgers, fried chicken. I mean, it's going to be a pretty smart move by the government of the Dominican Republic to put this together. This really is a smart move. The Cayman Islands can't really do this because the island has really only one place where boats can go, ships can go, where they're sheltered somewhat from the trade winds, and that's off downtown Georgetown. And so the island is right. The islanders in the Cayman Islands are absolutely correct, saying to the government, forget about building this gigantic concrete wharf, and forget about bringing in 15 to 20,000 cruise passengers a day. We can't handle that many people every day, 6 days a week. But what we can handle is we can handle a lot more jets, bringing in 150 to 200 people at a time. to spend a week to 2 weeks each on the island, staying at our 5-star resorts on 7 Mile Beach. Why don't we build 3 more resorts with 300 rooms each? That's 2,000 people a night more that can stay on the island for a full week, and they'll frequent all the restaurants, all the shops in downtown Georgetown. They'll go to all the amenities on the island. They'll rent cars. These folks are going to drop $1,000 each a day to be here. You want to be in the Cayman Islands for 2 solid weeks in a 5-star Ritz-Carlton hotel with a rental car and 5-star dining? You're dropping 20 grand per couple. Easy $20,000, but it's nice. And so that's what the locals are saying to the government. We're going after why go after the Walmart customer when we can go after the Tiffany customer? Why don't we go after the 5-star client? They don't pollute as much. They don't hire cabs in downtown Georgetown. They have their own cars. They get limos. They'll use the cabs or a limo service to get around. These are the folks we want here rather than the hordes to take over. Whereas this project right here for Dominican Republic, they're not going to leave that property. Most of those 10, 15, whatever, 20,000, whatever the number is, they're not leaving the property. They're going to stay right there and enjoy the water park and the cabanas and the swimming areas and the daiquiris and the beer and get a suntan, and then they'll go on the ship when they're done and all that. It's perfect. It is a perfect marriage. A really interesting story. I was really impressed with that. All right. Other news for you. This is just a thing I researched, and I've talked about this before, but I'll mention it again. I have a little more detail for you. China. What a disaster for the cruise ship business. China has been a complete washout. China was a disaster for cruise companies starting in 2017. This isn't like a COVID story. This is a story that COVID finally finished it off for a while. China has been an absolute disaster for cruise lines, a black hole of losses. You would think that, the Chinese middle class and upper middle class and well-to-do class, they would be thrilled to be able to go on a cruise ship out of Shanghai, be able to cruise for a week or whatever, and enjoy great food and gamble on the cruise ships. It would be beautiful. The cruise lines, they thought they'd nailed the one area that was left to get where the dollars will flow like there's no tomorrow. And they were wrong. Here are ships that were originally going to go to China, some had gone to China and do not go anymore and will not ever again see China. The first one, Ovation of the Seas, Royal Caribbean's Ovation of the Seas, built in from 16 to 18, they tried it for like a year and a half, and then they threw in the towel. The nightmare stories that were coming out from cruise and from any North American passenger that happened to be on any of these cruises. And I'm not picking on Ovation of the Seas. It's the same for all of these. If they ever plied the waters in China, we heard these nightmare stories where you go to the buffet for lunch, and you'd be in line with your plate or your tray with your plate on it, and you'd slide it along the metal thing in front of the buffet, and just up ahead, you'd be like 5th or 7th in line, and just up ahead, the chef would come out, one of the assistants would come out with a big stainless steel container of lobster tails or crab or shrimp, and would pour it into the container. And there would be 3 passengers, usually female, as the story goes, 3 Chinese female passengers waiting for this stuff. And they would each have 2 plates each with their trays. and they would spoon out all the shrimp that came out onto the 6 plates, way more than a portion. They would have enough for 10 people per plate of this stuff. And they would then take it to their tables, and there would be virtually none left. And you'd have to wait 10 minutes for the next batch to come out. And of course, Norwegian and Royal Caribbean and everybody else losing their shirts because they're finding that these passengers are hoarding the lobster and the crab meat and the prawns and all the expensive stuff. It was an absolute nightmare. Anyway, Ovation of the Seas got pulled out of there, is now plying North America, Australia waters, and is not going back to China ever again. Now, Genting went under 6 months ago or something like that. Genting, based out of Hong Kong, basically. They had the Dream, the World Dream, and the ship to be finished called the Global Dream, which is still sitting in a German shipyard, and they're talking about possibly selling it for scrap because nobody wants to buy this 80% completed ship for the China market. All three ships were for the China market, and Genting was not making money. They whatever money, if they made any money at all, it was gobbled up in losses on everything else. Genting was hanging on by a thread 3 years ago before COVID hit. Those ships are done for. NCL, the Joy from 2017-18, and the Encore was supposed to go to China. Now, the Joy went to China and got pulled in like 9 months. And Norwegian had the same problem that Royal Caribbean had. They were losing money on every cruise. And the other nightmare that Norwegian found out, they won't tell you about it, but the story goes that in China, in order for you to take a cruise, if you're a Chinese national, you want to go on a cruise ship, you have to buy your cruise through a licensed travel agent that is authorized to sell you a cruise on these cruise lines. But you, the Chinese national, you have to provide your passport, and you have to wait for your travel agent to clear you before you can go. So you and your family would have to be authorized from the government of China to be allowed to go on a cruise. And then when they did get on the cruise, the problem was that the commissions that the licensed Chinese travel agencies took off the top were as high as 75%. And the cruise lines were getting 25 cents on the dollar. And they were just getting hosed. And then you had these folks who they would get in line, like I said, in the buffet. If you could take the food and put it into a purse, like they would have, the women would have a Gucci purse or a Coach bag purse, and in the purse would be a Glad freezer bag, okay, inside the purse, and they would load the shrimp and the lobster and all the high-end food into the bag, seal the bag, keep it in the purse, and take it back to their room. And if it was the last night of the cruise, the strategy was they take all the bags of food back to their rooms, to their bar fridges, and put the food in their fridges. And then the next day when they checked out at the last minute, as they were leaving the room, they would grab these cold bags and they would take them with them back to their hometowns and share them with their relatives. The cruise lines were losing a fortune in food. They were feeding double the number of people that were on the ship, and they were only getting a quarter of the money. And so Norwegian, they figured it out pretty quick. They spent $800 million on the Joy cruise ship. They were losing like probably 20 million a month on this thing. They pulled it out of there, moved the ship to Singapore, if I recall, had the ship stripped down of everything Chinese, and they North Americanized it and then shipped the Joy over to Alaska. And ever since, it's been Alaska and the Caribbean and other places, but not going back to China. The Encore was supposed to go to China. The original plan was that the Norwegian Encore would be the second big ship to go to China. And when the Joy ran into its nightmares, they pulled that sucker back and delayed delivery of the ship until they North Americanized it. They weren't going anywhere near China with the Encore, and it never has gone there. Princess has the Majestic Princess. It was designed for the China market. It lasted 3 months, and they pulled it the hell out of there. Carnival went, no way, get it out of there. North Americanize it. It's Australia, North America now. Royal Caribbean Spectrum of the Seas. 2019, tried China. They pulled it out. They took it to Singapore. It hung out in Singapore for the COVID time, and now it cruises to nowhere. It goes from Singapore on 3 and 5 day cruises and back to Singapore. And they're eventually going to un-Chinese this thing, I'm sure, because they're not going back. And the other ship that was supposed to be from Royal Caribbean exclusively for the China market as a way to honor the country was the largest cruise ship in the world, the Wonder of the Seas, which I think is the 5th Oasis class ship, was supposed to be a China ship out of Shanghai. And that ship was being built and to be launched into China for, I think, 2021. And COVID hit, obviously, before that. And they already then realized the nightmare of the Ovation of the Seas. And they saw what happened to the Joy. They saw what happened to the Encore. They weren't going to put the biggest cruise ship in the world in China. This cost $1.4 billion to build. No way are they going there. So they de-China the ship in the COVID timeframe in France when the ship was supposed to be completed for the China market. They scrapped all that. They had the hull built. They had the exterior built, and they were now doing the finishings. They reordered all the finishings, and they made it a North Americanized ship. It's not going to China. That's the Wonder of the Seas. And the last two ships for Costa Cruise Lines, the Venezia and the Firenze. These two ships were being Chinese-ized. They were being taken out of the Mediterranean cruise environment to be reconfigured for the China market. And that's been canceled. And the ships are now plying waters back in Europe, South America, and Australia. They're out, and out. So the entire Chinese fleet of ships, there should have been like 20 by now. These are the plans since 2017, 2016, 17, 18. By now, 2022, that would have been at least 20 ships doing China cruises for Chinese nationals. There aren't any. None. Because China has a zero tolerance for COVID. They mass test a million people at a time in any one city. If there's one case of this stuff, can't do a cruise. It's impossible. So China is completely out. And with all the other structural and legal nightmares and booking nightmares and probably the bribes that they would have to have paid to get all that in there, they've walked away. And of course, the cruise lines are now broke. They don't have spare cash to try to woo the Chinese into doing business with these guys. They can't afford to bribe these guys anymore. So China's done for. There's nothing happening now for another several years. It'll be interesting to see how it goes going down the road. But anyway, there you have it. There is some of your cruise news of the day for you. Some of the stuff that's going on out there. And right now, the big concern that North Americans should be worried about, and of course Europeans, is if the cruise lines across the board out of all U.S. ports, except for ships going to Canada and back, anywhere else, if the cruise lines are going to say no testing required, whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated. In other words, it's a wide open playing field. You can just walk on the ship like you used to walk on the ship. No verification of vaccines, no verification of a negative test. Just come on board and have a good time. If that is going to be the new normal on the North American cruise scene, I wonder how many elderly cruisers, people with conditions, are going to cancel their cruise for this winter and next spring and next year. Because if these variants that we keep talking about pick up again and become even more contagious than before, people with underlying conditions are going to be told by their doctors, don't take a cruise. It could be a death sentence for you. You might not die on the ship, but you might be dying a few weeks after you get home from the ship, and it's not worth the risk. It's going to be interesting to see how this all works itself out going forward, because we're hearing now that the cruise lines want to go right up to 100% capacity to fill up the ships, to bring in the money, the cash flow they need to pay off their bankers, because they are into their bankers big time. So I don't know, guys. We'll have to see how this all works out. I don't know. Time will tell. It's wild. It's wacky. There's no end to it. All right. Thank you all for being here. Let's see what's going on here. Any excursions recommended for the Mediterranean? Storage Gaming wants to know. Well, it depends where you're going. If you're going to go to Naples, get a tour to Herculaneum. Herculaneum was buried by Mount Vesuvius. It's being unearthed. It's a UNESCO site. It's in incredible condition. Pompeii, forget it. It's falling apart everywhere, and it's overrun by tourists. Go to Herculaneum, worth your while. If you're going to go to Florence or Pisa, take the Leaning Tower Pisa tour. Check out Florence all in one day. 7-8 hour excursion, fantastic. And if you're going to Rome, take the day trip to the Vatican. Take the day trip, it includes the Colosseum. Jen Jr. and I really enjoyed it. Really great. Sharon, Jewel is a small ship. 66 cases is a huge percentage. Tom Henry, Brian Richardson, I saw that on my search, but they were not accepting IHG points and didn't want to pay. I didn't want to pay the rate. Arc Adventures, evening, Bruce, Andy, and Andrea are here. What was it hard to move away from the Caymans? Seems like such a great place to live. It's a beautiful place. We found the people very friendly. Really enjoyed the overall experience. But it is one of the most expensive places to be on the planet. And so, if you're working there full time, and I was a full time employee, today now it's 20 plus years later, you'd have to generate probably an income of over $200,000 to really get by. And I mean, it doesn't cost you $200,000 to eat every day, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, nothing like that. But when we were there, employees in the firm that I was with, we were paying $2,600 a month US for a 2-bedroom condo, up-down condo. There were fellow employees of ours who were paying $5,000 a month for 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom units. Rent. Today, you can probably add 50% to that, like $3,000 to $7,000 a month. So be prepared to drop, say, $60,000 to $80,000 a year in rent. Then you need a car. Then you need to eat. You're going to do some traveling from there. You're going to go out for some restaurants. So you need to live. You're going to need $120,000, $130,000 a year to live for 3 people, like mom and dad and a child or 2. There's school tuitions. That's $15,000, $20,000 a year included or additional to that. The idea of working there full time for us and anyone else was, the hope was you'd get there with, whatever you got there with. And when you left, you had more money. And a lot of expats left the island just as broke as when they got there. Like they left with $5,000. They had nothing. Some left with 10. We were there for 2 years, about 2 years. And I think we left the island with about $15,000, but that was back then. So that would be equivalent today to $30,000. So we were ahead of the game, but it didn't work out the way we wanted in the long run. In a way, I would like to have stayed there a few more years, but in another way, because we ended up leaving when we did after 2 years, we ended up in Palm Desert earlier. And we never knew we'd end up there in Palm Desert. And I am so grateful we did end up in Palm Desert, because that was heaven compared to the Caymans. The Caymans are great. They were great, but Palm Desert was even better because we had a child who was 13, and it really worked out for us. So, but to visit the island, you know, you're gonna spend 1,000 a day minimum, 800 a day. You know, I mean, you can budget it down to 700 or 800 a day, but you're talking 5,000 to 6,000 a week to start, and 10,000 a week if you're going to spend a little bit of money there. So it's not cheap, but it's nice. It is nice. All right, Tom, Sharon, scary thing is that the spread gets into the crew, could devastate a cruise. Strange gaming. Any excursions recommended for the Mediterranean? Did that? Isaac, Uncle Bruce. You okay, Bruce? When you headed out on your next cruise? We don't know. With Jen's hip, we're not sure what's happening now. Kevin, we want a TWB cruise. I don't blame you. Someday I'd love to do one. Don't count me in, Kevin. Stephen, cruise ships do not bring that much economic benefit at a stop. A meal off a ship, couple drinks and a souvenir won't pay the rent. Fly in a hotel for a week, 3 meals a day, that benefits locals. Exactly. Tom, tour operators would not agree. Stephen, maybe not the hotels and restaurants. Sharon, a TWB on Royal Caribbean so Kevin and I can take advantage of our newly minted diamond status. That would be a perfect cruise, Bruce. Tom Henry, Colossus of the Seas. Colossus of the Seas. Sharon, 49 thumbs ups, 51 to go. Thank you, everybody, for these thumbs ups. If you can hit that thumbs up button for us, let me know what number you are. Please help us out. Get those thumbs ups in there. Tom Henry, way too big for my taste to give me the jewel. Tom Henry, I missed it. What port are we discussing? The new pier. Sharon, I would have loved that kind of facility at Port Canaveral. We didn't bother getting off the ship because there was nothing walking distance from the ship. Exactly. It's a no man's land. It's a wasteland. Alexis, hey cousin, can you tell me where I can go from Royal Caribbean? I don't understand the question about that. Tom, Sharon, did you dock at terminal number 3? That is close to some good restaurants, but mostly tours needed to find something. I did a tour to Daytona Beach Raceway in November. That was neat. Tom Henry, never realized those tracks are so steep. Stephen, on cruise lines, the people spend most of their money on the ship. They keep the lion's share. The locals get much more benefits from tourists that stay on the island all week by a wide margin. Exactly, Stephen. You know it, my friend. Tom, our favorite cruise is Panama Canal. Royal Caribbean is so big, many don't fit through it. Sharon, Tom, no idea. Cloud 7 Travel. Hi, Bruce from Calgary. Hope you are staying cool in this heat. We are taking care of ourselves. They should price their cruises higher if they're losing money in China. Choco, expat living in Spain. That is insane. Cloud 7, someone didn't do their homework on China before committing to the market. I wanted to hit Chinese cruise, but seemed like a mission. Sharon, 54 thumbs ups, 58 watching. Step it up, people. Press that button. You're right, Cloud, says Choco. Cloud, Bruce's term of the day, de-China'd. De-China'd. Cloud 7, it's funny how life works out, eh? Cayman didn't work out, but it takes you to other great things in life, inspiration to the rest of us younger folks who are trying to overcome some adversities. You know, we went in with our eyes open to the Cayman Islands. We knew it was expensive, but I was guaranteed a wage from my employer. I made okay money for the time. But we found there were some surprises that really shocked us. The biggest surprise was that we were paying $2,600 US a month for a 2-bedroom condo. That wasn't unusual because we knew the rents were ridiculous, and we had done our homework to try to find better. But what we didn't realize was our telephone and internet bill in 1999 was $2,000 US a month. That was the shocker. That was our home from our house. I was working from home with a business partner, and I was working from my office for my firm. So I had my firm's work and I had some side work. And here I am spending $2,000 a month US on my phone and internet in 1999. Yeah, it was shockingly expensive in that sense. I mean, it was just crazy. Terry, our private islands stops basically money grabs for cruise lines. Yes and no, because it's built into your cruise price. Most of what the private islands offer you, Coco Key, and the one in the Royal Caribbean stop in Haiti, the name of which escapes me at the moment. Those two are built into your price. You can go on the islands for no charge. You can use a lot of the facilities, no extra charge. Now they have adult only areas and cabana areas. You pay extra for those, but that's voluntary and that's quite all right. Cloud 7, Labadee, thank you. Labadee in Haiti. That's included in your cruise. Now, if you want, secluded areas and stuff, you'll pay extra for that. I think the zip lines are extra, that kind of stuff. But a lot of the facilities and the beaches, knock yourself out. I've heard people very, very pleased with it. Very pleased. I think this move in Dominican Republic, I think is brilliant. A brilliant move by the government of the Dominican Republic. A brilliant move. Safety, passenger safety, they're behind locked gates. Brilliant. The beaches locked off from the locals. Brilliant. The water park staffed by cleared staff. Cruise lines clear these people as well. Brilliant. It's just a winner. It's just an absolute winner of a move. Ruth Ann Greenberg, how do they know you have COVID during the cruise unless people tell them? Well, at the moment, the numbers I've been quoting you and talking to you about were they were testing up until last week. The CDC stopped everything last week or so, but up until then, these numbers were still glaringly disturbing, the glaringly disturbing numbers on ships with 60% occupancy, not even 100. The virus is everywhere and it's spreading like wildfire, and it's only going to get worse now. It's only going to get worse now. Cloud 7, I once won a zipline tour at one of the port shows raffle, but had to give it away to a much needed family on the same cruise. Well done. There you go. Yeah, it's something. The cruise business, we have 61 thumbs ups right now from all of you. Thank you, all of you, so much for helping out with these. If you can, if you can hit the thumbs up button for us and add to the total, that would be great. If you let me know what number you are, even better. If not, it's okay. We don't mind anonymous thumbs ups, but we do appreciate them as they come in. The more the merrier. I know that during my reruns on these shows, the folks who watch on rerun, they give me thumbs ups all the time, and I thank all of you as folks as well. If you're watching the rerun, hit that thumbs up button for us. Give us some momentum on that. And Stephen, thanks. Thank you, Bruce. Fun and interesting as always. Thank you, Stephen, my friend. Glad to have you here tonight. Folks, I'm going to call it a night and say thank you for joining me for Monday, August the 1st, 2022, here for the big show. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed or found what I was able to bring you interesting today. We'll bring you some more cruise news next week again, and we'll keep you posted on our travel plans with Jennifer and her hip. We have quite a bit of medical work to figure out. We're into that now. That's why we're here. And when we know more, we'll keep you posted on what's going on. So thank you all for your kind words and your participation, your thumbs ups. Those of you who are sponsor members like Donnell here, thank you, my friend, for being a sponsor member. Great show. Good night, Bruce, and all. Time for some sleep. 2:12 a.m. here now. Have a good, safe week. You take care, Donnell. Thank you, my friend. Sharon, have a great night, Bruce. And Jen, thank you to you and Kevin. Cloud 7 Travel, thank you, Bruce. Glad I caught the last little bit of your show. Stay safe and stay healthy in this heat. We will do so. Jeannie, catch you next week. You bet. You and Bill, you guys take care of yourselves in East Tennessee, as always. Glad that you're with me every week. I love it. Tom Henry, hey, buddy, you take care, pal. Be well in Richmond. Get ready for your next one, because it's a coming, baby. It's a coming, and it's going to be a doozy. I can't wait to hear from you on that one. Way to go, pal. All right, guys. Stay safe. Be healthy. And we'll see you next week here on Traveling with Bruce from Calgary. Good night to all of you. Bye for now.